Algo está errado em nosso mundo. Podemos sentir. Você provavelmente se sente um escravo do sistema, preso dentro de uma matrix. Talvez você esteja assistindo este vídeo porque queira escapar daquilo que te escraviza. O primeiro passo para a libertação e descobrir o grande segredo é compreendendo como o mundo de fato funciona. Sua jornada começa agora. Este é o canal A Chave da Ciência.
Boa noite, meus queridos amigos. Estamos aqui para mais um show aqui ao vivo com algo extremamente interessante. Hoje vou trazer um casal dos Estados Unidos que fizeram o último experimento que eu apresentei aqui no meu canal do navio de guerra, aonde vocês puderam ver o navio de guerra ali a controle remoto dentro de um lago com uma perspectiva, uma medida e tudo mais. E aí eles mostram aquilo que ocorre nos oceanos com os barcos grandes, numa escala menor, e mostram o efeito que acontece mesmo estando tudo numa superfície plana, ok? Então, vou trazer esses meus convidados. Nós iremos ter uma live totalmente em inglês. Depois que acabar a live, eu vou colocar a legenda e vocês vão poder assistir na íntegra, com tudo legendado, para vocês entenderem o que foi falado aqui, tá bom? Então, muito boa noite aí, Rodrigo, que está com a gente aí. Obrigado aí. Opa, desculpa, Bia. Obrigado aí pela sua presença, tá? A Bia está aqui comigo aqui no estúdio também, vai estar acompanhando. E então, se você tiver alguma pergunta ao longo da apresentação, eles vão fazer uma apresentação primeiro. Se vocês tiverem alguma pergunta para fazer, façam as perguntas em português. Eu vou traduzir depois e no bate-papo vou estar conversando com eles e a gente vai estar desenrolando aqui uma conversa bacana aqui, tá bom? Então, vou trazer os meus... Olha, eu estou com o casal aqui, Márcia dos Santos, que é o casal que produziu o experimento, tá? A gente vai estar conversando aqui com eles, tá bom? Então, tá rolando? Que legal, deixa rolar lá e deixa o casal aqui, que a gente vai mostrar um outro lado aqui do assunto. Obrigado aí por ter me informado isso, tá bom? É sempre assim, né? Bom, vamos lá, vamos ao que interessa. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome.
How's it going, Eddie? Thanks for having us.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. I'm very happy that you guys are here. So it's for me, I'm not even like aware of what's going on right now because it's so cool. I just showed you your guys your video yesterday. And people were like, wow, what is that? And then I sent it to other channels, and there is being fights all over channels right now because the Globers are not accepting what you guys did, and a lot of other guys are defending what you did. I just got a message here. Look, this message is in Portuguese, and I'm gonna translate it to you so you will understand. It says, congratulations, teacher Eduardo. Eduardo is me. Yeah, that's my real name, all right? Eddie, it's for you because it's easy for you to say Eddie, all right? So they say, congratulations, teacher Eduardo. Your video of the battleship is in all the channels all over the channels. And there is a fight going on right now in one of the biggest channels we have, which is Bruno Alves' channel. He's got 132,000 subscribers. And the other guy, which is a Glober, his channel is called Sistemático. They are in a fight, all right? I mean, I don't know what's going on right now. We're going to watch this later, and I'm going to show this video later to you so you guys can be aware of your battleship. It brought a lot of battles, all right? Which is good, which is really, really good, okay? So, well, I want you, before anything, I want you guys to introduce yourself. I'm going to put you guys in evidence right now on the screen. So I want you to introduce yourself. Tell a little bit about your channel. If you want to talk about how you woke up to this new format of the world, to this new shape of the world, you know, and then you can do your presentation, okay, just as we were talking about, and then we go with the flow. Let's see what happens. All right. So I'm gonna. There is a kind of echo. So when I'm talking, I'm gonna keep your mic off, but when you're talking, it's gonna be total on, okay? Like right now. So
all right,
please.
Perfect.
Yeah, hi everyone. First of all, we want to thank Eduardo for having us on. He's been great just these last few days, ever since the experiments, I guess, made their rounds. But my name is Sean. I started the Sky Free channel about a little over 3 years ago. Go ahead.
I'm Casey. I'm married to Sean. And
the narrator of the channel.
yeah, I narrate the videos, do some writing and editing.
And she helps out with the boats and all the experiments too. So she's a huge help as well. But yeah, we kind of stumbled upon Flat Earth in 2015. And at first, when we heard about it, we thought it was a complete joke. And I thought it was one of the dumbest things I'd ever heard. And then about 3 months later, I saw a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a world-renowned astrophysicist. I'm sure a lot of you have, or maybe have heard of him. He's
very vocal on Twitter.
Yeah, he is. But he went on Comedy Central and was kind of like attacking B.O.B. the rapper for his flat Earth beliefs. And maybe you've seen this also. He goes and he like drops his microphone and he's like, gravity, you know. And I just didn't really like the mockery and all the attacks on B.O.B. when, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson should be representing science as a world-renowned astrophysicist, but he's going out and mocking people and belittling them for their beliefs. And so at that moment, I decided to start looking more into flat Earth. And there were a bunch of people making observations. And that's one of the amazing things about flat Earth, in my opinion, is that it empowered the average person to go out and observe the world for themselves rather than just believing what they've been told. And so I thought it was really cool that people were doing that. And, you know, I was just trying to be unbiased and trying to see, you know, if there was any validation or any validity to the idea of a flat Earth. And so I started making observations of my own, and I started thinking about scale over flat surfaces. There was this one time a channel, Beyond the Imaginary Curve, was talking about water and the physics of water and how it always seeks its level, and that level is flat and all that. And so I started thinking about how much curvature there would be over a small lake, you know, how much curvature could be claimed over a small lake. So I started looking into curvature calculators and all that, and saw that there's essentially no curvature, you know, within the short distances that we're viewing. There could be no obstruction due to curvature for sure. And the curvature drop on a sphere of our given radius would be 1/10 of an inch at like 600 feet. So we decided to start making observations over small lakes, over other surfaces that we could prove there's no obstruction, and witness what happens with refraction. And we started noticing that not only do objects disappear bottom up over these surfaces, but we started looking at it in scale and the rate that it was happening. And we noticed that the rate was so similar to what is alleged the curvature of the Earth. you know.
And it was interesting, or it seemed like it was kind of a light bulb moment, because one of the main kind of arguments made against flat Earth, or that's supposed to debunk those things, is this whole idea of boats sailing over the curve, or sailing out to sea, and that disappear bottom up.
Yeah.
As you watch them, you know, supposedly go over the curve. And so, you know, to see that happening on a small scale, to see that, oh, this object is still disappearing bottom first, bottom up, but we know that this body of water is too small for that to be happening because of curvature.
Right.
Well, then what is it that we're actually seeing? What is causing the obstruction?
Right. And what we've and with that, what we've noticed over the years is that pretty much anytime you have at least near the surface, observations made near the surface, I can say for sure that this is what I think is going on. You know, observations at elevation, I think we'd have to look more into and see if we could figure out exactly what's going on there. But near the surface, if you have a decreasing temperature gradient, so your surface is the warmest, and as you gain elevation, the temperature decreases. In those conditions, you're going to get upward refraction to some degree, and you know, the more sharp the more steep the gradient is, the more refraction you can get. But even
and
if
the upward, because it took me a long time to get this down. The upward light refraction
makes objects appear to sink.
Yeah, is what.
Right.
It's like opposite of what it sounds like it would be.
Right. Right.
But and that's why you see that so often. Like it's so common to see that sinking effect, because this is the common refraction that's happening.
Yeah, the standard temperature gradient, as in when you don't have a temperature inversion. A temperature inversion is when you get a layer of cold air below a layer of warm air. When you have standard, which again that happens day after day after day, you know, the temperature inversion is the rare thing. So you're going to get upward refraction most of the time. And that's why a lot of times you're going to see what looks like curvature. And in our opinion, it's an inferior mirage caused by upward refraction that creates the sinking effect.
Yeah, great. I'm going to ask you, well, as you guys are talking about this stuff, I'm going to point a few things that you just said, which is really, really important, especially in this very delicate moment we're going through right now, because people, you know, like it or not, things are changing. A lot of people are starting to be more observant and trying to understand things that they wouldn't question before. All right. And I just want to refer to something you just said at the beginning, which is really important. The mockery brings us the idea that something is wrong, because you're talking about a very high level scientist, all right, or somebody who presents himself as a scientist. I mean, why would he have to mock someone if he knows he's telling the truth, right? And that's the point. And this is something we are not actually dealing with here, because this is not something that happens from our side mostly. Flat earthers that are fighting like this, they don't understand actually flat earth yet, because it's not something you need to fight for. It's something that is going to happen either we want it or not. The truth is always going to come. So we are not the ones who get offended, right? We are not the ones who are offended. We are the ones just showing a different view of what it's been taught all over these years, that nobody ever stopped and turned off their TVs and thought, what the heck is going on? You know, I mean, what is this people are feeding me and my family, you know? So when you said about the mockery, this is what I've been going through all the time. People mock us all the time. They go crazy because we say something that they believe that we are the dumbest people on earth. But I like that. I'm really enjoying this, you know? I mean, on other times, I would be offended just the way they are. And that's the point. I'm not even not even a little bit offended. I'm actually getting happier and happier because people like you are showing up and giving us a different perspective, just adding up more stuff to what we believe and making it more possible. So the more we dig in, the more we find we are right and this is possible. And we've been deceived all these years. I have a lot of stuff that we're going to talk a lot about. I told you from now on. But this first point that you mentioned was very important. The second thing that I want to ask you about is I saw a few videos on your channel, okay? And the very first ones that you guys did was it a tennis court? Was it a tennis court? Okay, so it was like a flat surface, but no water. And we kind of see the same effect, right? I mean, we kind of see the same thing. So that was the first ones you guys did, and that's what moved you guys on to go to other surfaces, other kinds of surfaces. Tell me a little bit about how that happened.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. We started with tennis court and also some observations on our land in Colorado. And, you know.
Well, even before we got there, the most recent ones, we did some tennis courts, we did some indoor ones, then we moved to water, some different.
You can even do this indoors if you just kind of let some air in from the outdoors and let the atmosphere do its thing, so-called atmosphere do its thing.
Yeah, because we eventually we started doing it in our living room, you know, just on the living room floor, making stuff disappear and, you know, do fun stuff. But a lot of it too was because, you know, we would have one of these surfaces and Globers would come in and say, oh, well, if you did that over water, then blah, blah, blah. So then we do it over water, and then they're like, well, do it on a flat surface, or, you know.
That's what they always do. They always move the goalposts. It started off like, oh, well, that only happens over land because, you know, the surface gets hot and blah, blah, blah. So do it over water. That'll never happen. So we tried it over water, and sure enough, it happened. But one thing I want to say about the land observations is over land, you're pretty much guaranteed to get upward refraction near the surface, because over water, you know, water can be much cooler than the air above. And so it can actually cool off the air layer near the surface. And so you might not get the upward refraction effect. But over land, pretty much throughout the day, most of the time, you're going to have the surface is going to be pretty warm, especially when it's being hit by the sun. It's going to be warmer than the air above. And so you're going to get the upward refraction effect from the temperature gradient.
It really does seem like it's the most noticeable when you're driving or riding in the car somewhere, just looking right over the dash at the road in front of you or a little ways ahead. That's when, you know, or when you see a car coming into view or over a hill, that's when it's the most noticeable. Things stretching, sinking, suddenly, you know, stretching and then popping. It's
I mean, if you just observe the world around you, like, you know,
it's always been there.
Yeah, right. It's there, and you will always be able to observe it. So,
look, there is this guy, Astronomy and the Scriptures. That's his tag in Portuguese. Astronomy and Scriptures is a great friend of mine, and he knows English, as you can see. So he is saying, just breaking globe heads in good style. So sometimes it's going to be a few of English messages. So if you want to read them, it's okay. You can mention them and read them if you want to. All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, that sounds great. Good comment there. Thanks for that. But yeah, so we went from the land where, like I said, you'll see the sinking effect. And again, I said this in the kind of the pre-show, but anyone, like, don't believe a word we say. Go out and make your own observations. Go test this yourself. This is just something that is testable, observable, and repeatable. You know, we have nothing to hide. So go test this yourself. But yeah, we went from the land observations and went to the water observations. And to me, that's where it's really at, because the effects you can see over the water in the various conditions just so closely matched to what we see on the large scale. And so I think it's really telling, those observations.
And we've talked a little bit.
How long did it take from soil observation to water observation? How long did it take?
Well, we started with observations that weren't the best, and we weren't really thinking of scale. Probably around 2017, early 2017, and then we started like the tennis court observations in early 2018, and we were thinking of them in scale by that point and showing how it disappears at the same rate as the alleged curvature. And then
that didn't happen for a while. It clicking that, oh, this is like, we were just kind of seeing what was happening, and the focus being what happens on a surface that we know is level. We weren't originally thinking about really even refraction yet.
At that point, no. I learned. I obviously knew what refraction was, but I just, I learned so much from doing these observations, and so we started off doing all the land and everything, and then we moved to water by I'm going to say that was summer of 2019. About summer of 2019, we started doing some water tests and seeing the same effects. And so we just started keeping temperature. We started doing it in various conditions, over ice, in the winter, in the summer, throughout the year. And it's such a consistent result we get.
We were a couple years in before he was like, this is, kind of this same rate and these similar distortions. It's happening at the same rate, kind of relative into scale as, what you would see on a normal day-to-day looking out at the highway or boats or just whatever on the large scale. Yep. So that was a big, light bulb moment that, wow, this is really like a microcosm of what we're seeing. So
yes, and that's a good point, because this is what I've been telling people on my channel. Micro stuff, or very small things are going to explain bigger things. It's always like that. You learn the micro and you know what is big, what's behind. And we had this boat experiment here yesterday. We actually blew everybody's minds. Like I said, we knew this already because we had other experiments before, but this one that you guys did, for me, when I saw it on your channel, I thought, my God, I mean, what are the odds of being here right now, like seeing this? But I search a lot, because in Brazil, we are very limited because of the language. Something for you guys to understand. I went over Wikipedia the other day, and there are 1 million articles in Portuguese, but in English, there are 6 million articles. Oh, sorry, I cut you off. You can say 6 million. Sorry, you can say now 6 million.
That's a shame that's such a missing out on just information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing, 6 million articles, and they are always bigger than the ones we have in Portuguese. They are always longer. There are always more data. So if you look for, let's say, Isaac Newton, all right. So when you look it up on the English version, you have, like a big long file and a lot of stuff. You have even how many, problems he had as a kid. When you look it up on the Portuguese version, it's just like, this guy was that guy, and 2 lines below, and that's it. All right. A picture, a signature, that's all, So this is something also my country have to deal with, because language is kind of a limitation, and Brazil, we are well known for our soccer, but we are not well known for our science. I mean, we don't have a Nobel Prize, but we got 4 World Cups. So that's weird, like when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I wish in the future we can change that a little bit and start making some Nobel Prizes instead of World Cups. That's my wishes to my country so far. But we have this experiment of the boat, and I want to focus on a little bit about this. And I think we're going to invert the order. So we're going to have your presentation more to the end, because it's very interesting what you're telling me here today. So I'm going to ask you some questions about this particular experiment, which was the boat one, okay? You bought the boat just for this experiment, or you liked this kind of stuff before? Well, tell me a little about it.
Yeah, we did get it for the experiment. I mean, I've always been interested in scale and like scale models. Not that I've ever collected them or anything, but I've just always kind of been interested in it. I think I might have gotten into RC boats eventually, just just for just any reason. But yeah, we bought the boats for the experiments. And when did we get the first boat? Like, I think it was about 2019 when we started getting them.
And then got the battleship for, specifically to have something bigger and
that looks kind of realistic to the large scale. So,
and we want to get more. We're going to continue to get boats and other objects. We're always looking for things to make realistic skylines, and
we could put like realistic looking buildings on the opposite shore and just see how much obstruction we'd get there too and stuff. So
okay, nice. Is there another kind of surface that tests can be done on without being like the ground or water? Is there another? Do people ask about this kind of stuff? Is this something that would be necessary, or just proving what you guys are proving on ground and on water is enough to show to prove a point?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. I mean, we do a lot of our observations right near the surface, and the reason why we do that is because if you go up higher or you do it over a larger distance, then the globe side will just claim curvature. They'll just say, oh, well, that's happening now because of curvature. And so that's why we do all our observations really close to the surface and at short distances so that no curvature can be claimed.
But also, for the types of surfaces that we choose, we do try to avoid, curvature or anything that would already be there. Like we couldn't use like a football field. Right.
There are certain surfaces. I mean, one thing, here's how you can do it. Go out at a time when the surface, you can do it over any surface, do it over a curved surface, and then that surface will just appear more curved whenever the refraction effect's happening. So you can do this over various surfaces, but one way to find out what the actual view is to go out whenever there's no temperature gradient, which it can be rare. But if you can find a time whenever the surface temperature and the air layers above are all about the exact same temperature, view it during that time, and that'll give you a pretty realistic idea of where the objects actually are. And then go out during another time when the temperature gradient's there during the day normally, and you'll see the sinking effect, and you can determine how much sinking you got essentially.
Wow. All right. And well, I'm going to get into a very delicate point, because some of the people who came and said that the experiment that doesn't prove anything, or it's just like they even left at the boat, it's a toy you guys are using. I mean, you see, they do that because they actually don't understand what we've been trying to say about micro. What is the correct pronunciation for the other one? Micro or micro and
yeah, it's micro and macro, and we have macro, that
yes,
we have that title a lot on our videos, as I saw some of your videos that say that, so that's awesome.
Yes. I showed the guys a lift from a tree, okay, and the camera starts approaching, and it goes like if you are using a microscope, all right, and then I say, the kingdom of God is inside of you. If you understand the micro, you understand the macro, because that's what it is. It's always been in here. So we got to go in to understand out. And that's what people don't understand. It's beautiful, actually. And I'm a student, actually. People call me a teacher because I teach English in Brazil, but I mean, I am a student of the scriptures. I love to read the Bible. I mean, it's the only book that I've read more than 50 times, okay? I think it's the only one. And I'm always reading about it. And once I came to understand the book of Enoch was not actually a way or a part of the Bible, but that was something that the church actually did, or the leaders of the church did, to try to close the gospel of Jesus Christ into a box, and make people like follow the rule, follow the rule, follow the rule. And that, so when I learned that the book of Enoch was, sensational, something amazing, and I started working on something that you guys are gonna know later on, which I call the timeline. The timeline is something that I use to create all of the chronological events of people who lived and died, and all of the events that are around the Bible throughout all of the 6,021 years that we have, okay, that people believe we have. And I started that with Adam, when the Bible says Adam was 130 years old when he had Seth, and that was the son that God gave him instead of Abel, because Cain had killed Abel, right? So when I have that first timeline of 130 years, I start my timeline. And I already have 1,000 pages of Excel file since then. And this is something nobody has done. I know that. Not in Brazil, not overseas. I'm pretty sure nobody has done what I've done in 20 years. I never imagined this is going to be something so cool. But when I got the book of Enoch, my friends, and I put it into the timeline, it was just perfect. All of the mathematical information that I have from the book of Enoch matches the scriptures. And then I went on and I took the book of Joshua, which is another book the scripture mentions, but people just took it away. And I found more mathematical data, and boom, it was inside the timeline again. And I am creating, the real world order of events, along with the lives of people that the Bible says mathematically they lived this many years and they died this many years, and then and so it's coming. But what is the problem right now? Some parts of our history are not there. I know there are more books to come. I know there are more books to incorporate in this timeline, and that's my work. This is the main work that I have in my channel going on right now. Okay, so what you guys are doing proves one side of the story, but what I am doing, completes the other side of the story. So when we put it all together, people, common people like we are, simple people like we are, we're going to show that something is just not right, and something has to be changed. Something has to be changed. So we are actually making history here. From my perspective, we are actually making history. So let's see what we have in the future. But this is a little bit of my presentation to you of what I do in my channel. Okay, so I named this series of lessons. I named it Applied. I don't know if I can translate that into English right now, but it's something like biblical mathematics applied. So you apply mathematics to Bible, and then what you have, perfect connection. Even the apostles number, like 12 apostles, even Jesus in the middle of the apostles, giving the number 13. All of this stuff I've been studying all these years, and of course, people that used to see me as a church follower or a church goer, now understands that the church is me and everybody else. So the church is not a building. We are the church. And once we are the church, you can never get out of the church, because sometimes people say, oh, you're not going to church anymore. No, I'm going to church every day because I cannot get out of this place. It's here. It's right here. Okay? Well, so I'm going to let you talk now. I just wanted to give you this overview of what I do here. But about the experiment, about the boat experiment. There is another channel here. A lot of Globers come here and talk about stuff. So this guy came and he said that when you film, when you record, when you shoot a video, there is a file that the camera produces, okay? In this file, I'm gonna put the extension. I'm not sure if it's an extension or if it's the name of the file. It seemed it was something like that. He said that this extension, EXIF, is something that is produced inside the camera, and that like it is generated with the video object, and probably if it is true, we can find this file inside the video camera recorder that you use or something, okay? So I want to know if you know about this, if you did know about this kind of stuff, and if you don't know, can we try to get this so we can show these guys that you were 100% honest and fair with all of the measures that you put it on the lake? Can you answer that question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I wasn't aware of that file at all until you brought that up. And the thing about that is, if that's the case, that would actually be so helpful to our observations, because we were looking at getting an exact distance tracker that could track the distance to the boat so we could have an exact measurement. But if we can just do that with the camera and that file, that would actually be a huge help for our observations, and we can show you the exact distance. That would be absolutely awesome.
We're going to look for it. We're going to try to figure that out anyways, just, you know, for the sake of, we want to be transparent, and we try to show exactly what we're doing every time, not just so other people can do it, of course, but also just, you know, because we don't have anything like, I think when we started this channel and whatever audience we have, like, they're just along for the ride. Like, we're going to be doing this anyways, and we don't have.
This is for us to learn, you know, and for anyone else who wants to come along with us. It would be just a complete. I'd be lying to myself to do anything other than present it exactly as is. And so, like I've said before, just go out and test it yourself if you don't believe me, and I would recommend doing that. But yeah, overall, I think that would be awesome if that is true, if we can access that file and get the exact distances. And one last thing I'll say is that we do have observations over a lake where we literally measured the exact distance to the objects.
Usually we do it on the side.
Yeah, we had a nice lake where we had an exact straight line, and so we measured it. It was exactly 600 feet pretty much, a little over like 605 feet or something like that.
Because I'm like I'm operating the boat with a remote control.
Yes.
He's down on one end, you know, right at the surface with the camera. I walk down with the boat. So I'm keeping it, you know, along parallel to me, so I know when I'm
about halfway. One time we even marked off the entire lake, and so we knew exactly where 300 feet was on that lake. And so we were able to go to 300 feet and just observe, and then go to 600 feet and observe. This last test we did, it is a little bit more of an approximation. We'll try to get the exact distances, but it's
like a curvy, if the side of the lake,
well,
you know,
the opposite shoreline's a little over 1,000 or about 1,000 feet away. So we know it's within 1,000 feet because we didn't even get quite there. We got probably 100 feet, 100 feet away from the shoreline. So we know it's within 1,000 feet in that observation. And I would love to see that file and be able to access the information if we can.
And that's too, you know, everything we do, we keep on the small scale. We don't we don't go farther than 1,000 feet because, you know,
curvature
like we said, then we wouldn't know that it's a flat surface. So when you were talking about earlier, you know, does it matter what exactly the surface is like or not? You know, for us, especially the water things, being within 1,000 feet, that's really what matters.
It eliminates any chance of curvature, obstruction due to curvature within 1,000 feet.
Yeah, because then we talk about, okay, then what obstruction we are seeing. Is it waves? Is it refraction? Is it something else?
Yep.
So we can rule out curvature though.
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is really important because I'm going to be working closely with you guys from now on, because I want to help you guys out with your channel. Even if you need any help from me, you know that you can count on me. I told you before. And before people come here and say, oh, they have some business together. No, I offered them help without charging any cents. They are here and they can guarantee that. So we're not doing this for any money. We don't need that. We're doing this because we really love what we're doing, and we really believe people should know, at least think about what's going on around the world. I mean, we've been accepting too much throughout these years over what they tell us from TV shows, and they've been molding our identity. You know, I mean, people don't even think for themselves anymore. People don't, they just go. They made people believe that a guy can throw webs, throughout his hands and could fly and even hold incredible, gigantic objects like a spaceship or something. And people cheer, man. People go to the movie theaters and they clap and they go crazy for something that don't exist. So why shouldn't we really clap for something that is real? Okay, even though the world thinks we're crazy, we don't care, and we are here to show you guys something that you can think about. I loved when you said that you did this for yourselves, because that's what happened to me when I started working on my timeline. When I started reading the books, when I started studying the scriptures, I had to go against all of the pastors, all of the prophets, all of the popes, all of the people who say that they are somebody, on this earth. And why did I have to do that? Because I just wanted to learn for myself. It was my studies. I wasn't doing that because I want to show the world how smart I am or how intelligent I am. I was doing this because I had questions. I mean, why is the Bible so important? And at the same time, people have so many different views of it, so many different religions out of it, so many different denominations out of it. I mean, we have the Baptists, the Pentecostals, the Presbyterians, the Lutherans. We have the Catholics. Why? If it's the same Bible, what's the point? I mean, something's got to be missing. Something is really confusing. So I started to do that thing that I told you guys about, and you're going to know more about it because we're going to talk about this more often. But as you guys are willing to learn more, and me too, and we are not putting ourselves here as professors, as whatever they want to call us, but we are just bringing us bringing these studies to people so they can observe and they can judge themselves. We are going to take a look into this camera in the near future and see if we can find these files, and then let's see what's going to be the next excuse they're going to give us to go after. Because I believe every time we find something that is going to show what it really is, they're going to come up with a different story. It's okay. We're going to go after every story. We're going to, every time they raise a question, we're going to answer that question. We're going to do that because now I'm like playing a poker game. I'm all in right now, and there is no coming back. There is no turning back. So we're in this together, okay? Well, this part is solved, okay? We really know what is going on right now. In terms of your experiment, the way you guys understand the bodies of water and the way you did things and then things happen. So you were going to present something today in your channel. You had some difficulties, but my channel is your channel. Mi casa, su casa. Okay, so I want you to give that presentation right now. I want you to show people what you were going to do in your channel, and later on we can download this video and you guys can post it in your channel again. All right, I will be very happy to help you out with that. So I have your video here, and the live streaming is all yours from now on.
Yeah, thanks so much, Eduardo. And I just want to say though that what you're doing with the Bible is incredible, and you're right about the math and the science that is in there. The Book of Enoch describes, the movement of the sun, the moon, and there's a lot of math there that people don't realize. So I just think that is awesome. And
there's lots of additional books, like you were saying. There are. Yep. That's so I like to look into that stuff too, kind of, because I'm an English teacher also. Actually,
beautiful. There are actually 4 books that the Bible mentioned. Well, first of all, the Catholic Church has a different Bible from the evangelical church. Okay, the Catholic Church has a Bible with 73 books, which are 7 more books than the Christians. Not Christians, because evangelicals and Catholics are Christians, okay? But after Luther came, the guy who was a Catholic priest, he decided to take these 7 books out of the Bible. So that was my question. Who is on earth that has this authority to say this book stays and this book is out? Who? Nobody. All right. So we have 7 books already that should be in the Bible that are not. In these 73 books, they mention at least 5 or 6 other books that are not there as well. One of them is the book of Enoch. The other one is the book of Joshua. The other one is a book that Solomon, something about Solomon that I don't remember right now. And there are some other books that I'm not going to remember the name right now, but it's mentioned there too. Okay. So what happens? When I am able to put all these data from all these books in the timeline, more stuff are going to come up. We're going to know more stuff that probably we don't even know what we're going to find there, but it's going to be cool to look it up. It's going to be, because the 2 books that I'm already working on is just fantastic. It blew my mind. Everybody who's following the video, the series of videos, are going like, wow, how did you get to that? I don't even know how I got to that. It's just there, and we're doing this. So this is the thing. I'm adding the books to the timeline to see what's happening. Please go on.
Yeah, once again, that's just great. I can't wait to learn more about all that. But yeah, to our presentation, it's just something to think about, basically.
And it started, we were going to talk about, and we talked a little bit in our live stream that kind of went wrong, but we were addressing some things that are like common misconceptions that are talked about with flat earth stuff, or misunderstood, and sometimes they can be things that drive people away if maybe someone's first looking into some things or on the fence, and then they run into some information that ends up being inaccurate. We were like, well, if we're going to start doing live streams and kind of coming out more on our channel, then we want to do it right. And there's some things that we're not going to use, like the AE map, because, or at least we want to talk about it. Yeah. We want to talk about the pros and cons.
We still want to limit anything, and we want to figure out the truth through observation, So
it kind of led to our, putting together some things of our own, what works about these different models or ideas, and what doesn't, and how could we then make it work while still, being on a level plane.
Right. And we're not claiming that these are working models or anything. We're just trying to provoke some thought and to get people to think about it and to consider possibilities. One thing is that we don't think there's any limitation to God's creation. We think God is almighty and can do anything. So a model is just a way of explaining things, and so we just want to figure it out. But yeah, so one thing that you always hear is, or when you first get into looking into flat Earth, at least over here in the U.S., you always hear the horizon always rises to eye level, and that's something that anyone can go out, and it depends on the day, because if you're getting that sinking refraction that we talk about, the horizon's definitely, it's not going to be at eye level. It's going to be below eye level because of refraction. Other days it may appear above eye level because of the temperature inversion and downward refraction. So that's, so I wouldn't necessarily go and say the horizon always rises to eye level, because that's something that people can go out and basically debunk, and they're not going to listen to you or take you seriously if you make that claim when you can kind of show that's not the case. Anything else on that?
You got one new sub. Look at that. I've subscribed already on Sky Free.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. Yeah, and so that's one of them. Horizon always rises to eye level. Another one is a lot of times you'll see these really cool videos of what is supposedly the stars But if you go out and you can, you work with your camera a bunch, you can learn to focus on the stars, and you'll notice that those videos are actually out of focus stars. And so that's another thing that I wouldn't necessarily present as fact. Even the in focus stars, it doesn't prove that they're spheres in the sky or anything.
Right.
But it does show that those out of focus videos aren't accurate. So that's another one. And then a really common one is, people say, just take a zoom camera and zoom back in and you'll see the whole boat. And to some degree that is right, because if you're watching with your naked eye, that's perfect. The boat can seem to disappear to the naked eye, right? And it may even do so seeming to disappear bottom up. And then you can take your zoom camera and you can zoom back in and see the boat up to a certain point. But whenever there's upward refraction happening, you're going to get the sinking effect. And so you're not always going to be able to zoom in on a boat. It may appear to go below the horizon because of the refraction effect. Mm-hmm. So,
and what happens when a globe proponent does that, because flat earthers keep saying to do that, like, oh, just zoom in, you'll bring the boat back in with zoom, and then either it doesn't or it's still disappearing bottom up or bottom first, then that's just gonna validate their point more, when really what's happening here is dealing with refraction, miraging, and that true point gets lost in.
Yeah, they'll go out and they'll make that observation, and maybe they'll see the boat disappear bottom up, and they'll say, okay, well, flat earthers are lying. I'm never going to look into it again. Game over. So that's one I'd be careful repeating. And then the other one that, this one is more of just a question, because like we were saying earlier, God's creation could be like undefinable. It may not be able to be easily measured. And so it's more of a difficult one, but we do see some problems with the AE map. And so we just want to theorize on other possibilities and think about other things.
And make sure that people haven't just replaced one inaccurate model with the next best one. Everybody, especially around 2015, 2016, everybody that realized, kind of like we've talked about, because everybody was a globe earther before, when you realize, oh, this isn't what's actually where I'm living or what it is like. So, and then they immediately jump on to the next best model, or just the next one that's been presented. And that might not be right. Like, we can slow down. Like, if you're going to throw everything out and start fresh, start at the drawing board, then we might as well start, like, we can do anything. We can consider anything. So
yeah, that is a really good point.
Let me ask you something, because I remember one thing. Have you ever heard of David Weiss? He's very famous in the US, right?
Yeah, he is. And he kind of, I think he's kind of sticks to the AE model, which we don't necessarily agree with that, but he does show some really cool, like, flight route things that are really interesting and stuff. I don't know him personally.
Oops, sorry.
Yep.
So why am I telling you guys about him? Because I was watching a video with him the other day, and the very first thing he starts telling people is that all of these things that you see and you hear flat earthers talking about, most of them don't even know what they're talking about. He says that there is a lot of stuff that flat earthers, that they just say because they were told to. They do the same, they commit the same mistake globers commit, all right? So they understand, oh, so the world is flat. Okay, so now they start telling everybody the world's flat, but they don't even know what they're talking about. So they see a map, they say, oh, this is the map of the earth, okay? So what is very interesting is that when David Weiss starts his lecture or his presentation, he tells them, look, these things that you guys have been told, this is not flat earth. I'm going to show you what flat earth is. And then he starts showing flat earth from a different perspective. Why? Because these are the things that people have no answers to. I mean, he shows like how fast something goes, and taking like a very high speed. So there is this kind of a rocket launch that is like on a flat surface or something with people on it, or sometimes not. And then he says, how can you believe we are rotating 10 times faster than this and we don't feel a thing? You know, he starts by that. So that's the point. We need to start talking about what it really matters. And from you guys, I believe that we have come to a very important point, which is called refraction. We need to understand what refraction is about. If we understand deeply what refraction is about, we are going to be able to provide a better understanding of all the things that flat earthers are saying, even though the ones that don't know what they're saying, they are just being you know, like going with the flow. They're just doing control C, control V, you know, and this is not good. So I just wanted to mention that because it's very much what you guys are talking about. Please keep going.
Yeah, that's great. I actually wasn't aware that David Weiss said all that. That's cool. That is something I think I would start with for sure. Because, you know, whenever you figure out that the Earth's not a ball, you want to cling on to something. You want to have something to replace it. And so, you know, that's where the AE model will come out, or, you know, all these false conceptions that can be debunked.
Or just we're not sure yet.
Yeah, that we're not sure, but we're building the model still. You can't
put all your eggs in that basket
right.
yet. Like, we just got over a model. Like, we just got rid of it, you know, like, yeah. Let's give ourselves a chance to figure it out. And so that's where we kind of started putting together some, you know, just ideas. Really, Sean, I mean, it was all Sean's doing, creating.
Right. And yeah, this is just showing, you know, those are the two models we are presented with. It's kind of, over here, we have Republicans and Democrats. It's this political thing. It's like you have to be on one side or the other. And the other side will think you're on the other side. You know, if you're not with them, then you're on the other side. And so, you know, we don't want to limit it to these two models. That's not what the argument's about. It's really about something much bigger. It's about God's creation versus kind of the thing we're all fed to believe, you know, that we're kind of insignificant, and that, you know, that we're not important, and that we're on this little speck of dust. So it's bigger than just these two models. And if you want to go to the next slide.
Okay.
Right here. Yep. So this is ancient cosmology. And if you actually look at ancient cosmology, you'll see a lot of times it's actually depicted as a sphere, but we're on a plane within the sphere, like a plane of existence within a sphere. So that's one option. Maybe they were onto something. Yeah, you see a lot of, you know, full spheres there with planes in them.
Yeah, we got the Greek cosmology, we got the Navajo cosmology, we got the Babylonian cosmology. All of those cosmologies from the past, they were actually completely different from what we have been presented. And there it is in the middle of all this here. That's our blue marble. I used to play with that stuff when I was a kid. Like, I used to play a lot with marbles, you know, and I never thought it was going to be playing with the joke, but that's what it is. So let's move on.
Yep. Yeah, and then so this is the reason why we say if you pause it here, the reason why we say that this model is, we feel like it could be inaccurate, is because the South is so stretched, and not that this could be a possibility. Maybe this is how it all works, but if you look at if you push play on this, the next model that comes up, if you look at, dang, I put it in the wrong order. Wow, the presentation wasn't even right.
No, let me see.
Yeah, keep going. Right there, right there. Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. This is the South-centered. So there's the North-centered. And then if you go to the South-centered, you can see how much distortion there is of the North. And so, you know, this will all have to be verified. But if the equator is the widest part of Earth, then, you know, the AE map would pretty much be debunked by it getting wider as you go south. So if that can be proven, and you can go on ahead to the next slide. If that can be proven, then more things need to be questioned. And basically, you could take the North right here. The equator is the widest point at this. If you take the North and the South, and you kind of, you imagine that the equator is kind of a void, the circle of the Earth. The equator is a void that kind of allows you to go from hemisphere to hemisphere, so-called. Then that's just one model to think about. Just maybe the equator is some kind of void.
All right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and we're going to talk about that on another episode more deeply in the near future, okay?
Okay.
So this is the other side.
Right, this is the other side. This is the south, and so again, the equator would be the void, the widest part of the Earth. And now, so here, this is just a model. We're not saying this is what the Earth actually is. Again,
yes,
it could.
I know.
Yeah, and I'm just speaking to everyone in the audience.
It's kind of out there.
Yeah, it is out there, but and so go ahead and let it keep going a little bit, and then I think it shows the time zones.
Okay.
Essentially, if this were to be the case, you have your 24-hour time zones and everything, and if you're heading out, where number 13 is the one that's lined up right here. If you're heading out there, it's a seamless connection. You're not, you're not experiencing it like that.
You don't realize it would maybe somehow work out to where if you're, leaving, if you're crossing the equator, going through the void in this zone, it's gonna line up like that. Your direction is never gonna be interrupted, even if you are, 7 is going to go to 7, 18 is going to go to 18. It's always going to seem like the way the 13 is. They would just go like that because this vantage point, and I was kind of trying to explain this in our stream, what we're looking at right here, like when you're on Earth, we're never going to be able to get this vantage point.
Only God can have the vantage point of what the model would be. To us, it's all seamless. We can't tell that we're going through a void. It's just a seamless transition into the next hemisphere, basically.
Because just like you don't realize from eyeball to eyeball, you don't realize the seam. You don't realize I like the analogy of using dual monitors on a computer when you're dragging an image from one computer screen to the other computer screen, and it crosses that void, and it doesn't, if you were in the computer, you wouldn't know that because you're never going to get out of that vantage point. So you don't experience that void at all. It just lines up for the observer every time.
And one other thing with that model is, that's a two-pole model, obviously. And, we have two eyes. There's so many dualities. There's negative and positive, magnetism and everything. So we just think it's possible that there could be the two poles, and potentially at the center of the Earth where the poles are, the north and south. That may be why, the whole Antarctic Treaty and some of the guarding of the poles, it seems like it could have something to do with basically a void there, or a portal of some sort. And if something, I mean, that's just speculation, but if you look at those two models, it's almost like an eyeball too, kind of, potentially.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. And then so you can go ahead into the very last one after that. And this one is just it's an azimuthal equidistant two-pole flat Earth map. And, the only way to make it work would be to have some sort of so-called Pac-Man effect, basically, where, again, though, this is a model, so it's not literally that you're in that Pac-Man zone. You're just seamlessly transitioning throughout the realm. And
something they drew there, which is very clear, is the torus field. You can see the torus field.
Yes.
And we talk about that a lot too. Just how can it work? How can that come into play? Even and the other one, the previous slide we were looking at with the two side by side, we talk about how that can work with the sun, rotations, and maybe making the what's it called?
The sun analemma.
The figure 8, how
the analemma.
because that's something that gets talked about with the AE map and the single pole, you know, the sun going around it and going out and then going back in. But if you have the two side by side, it can do the same, you know, the northern hemisphere and then over, do the little figure 8, and then the southern hemisphere and then over. So that's
have you guys looked into the Prague clock? There is a clock in Prague that shows this kind of drawing with the circle in the middle. It's even like some people talk about the moon map because it fits the idea. Actually, we got a lot of data, got a lot of stuff. We have to figure it out. Something we know is not right. We just gotta bring the pieces together. We just gotta bring, you know, it's like a puzzle right now. And that's the point. The world thought it was done. No, it's not done. It's the beginning. It's the beginning. We're going to have to re-study everything we've been taught because it's all there. It's like I say, it's impossible to see things we see, the structures we see throughout the world. It's impossible to be there the way the story tells us it is there. It's impossible. Something might have happened in the past that we are not 100% sure. And then we got a lot of lines of thinking, you know, a lot of lines of imagining or thinking. I don't know what is the best word to describe the scenario, but actually nobody is 100% sure, because if one person is right, that makes this person God. You know what I'm saying? If one person is right, that's going to make this person God. And God is not going to share his glory with nobody. So the point that people need to understand is that we work as a body. As a body functions, that's the way we function. So if we want to understand the way the world really works, we need to start respecting differences so we can unite. We are not going to unite if we don't respect the differences, because God's not going to give everything to one person. And that's the point. One religion believes they know all. The other religion thinks the same way. The other religion thinks the very same way. And the other religion thinks the very same way. And they are all actually wrong because they are all right. You know what I'm saying? They are all wrong because they are all right. So what is wrong? The wrong thing is that they have to take the right part they have and they have to put it together. The story, everybody knows a piece of the story. So the only thing that needs to go down on this planet, which is not a planet, and if it is a planet, you got to remember that it's a planet. It's not a plan. It's a planet. And if it is, the only thing that needs to go down is something that has 3 letters. Ego. Ego is killing humanity. Ego is killing humanity. That's what it is. You got to let the E and go. If you take the E out, you go ahead, you know? So that's the point. Religious people needs to step down and understand we are all a big family. We're not here to fight each other. We're here to understand how things work. We're here to join forces. So once the world understands that, it's done. We change the world once we really, but people talk too much. Talk. Oh, we're going to do this. I'm here to change your future. I'm here to change your lifestyle. Oh, I am. And actually, he doesn't understand. He doesn't change anything by himself. The only way to change the world is the world changing itself. But we need to get together. And the problem we're facing is that something that the Bible says that if people don't understand, they are going to mistake it with the apocalypse that they are looking forward, you know, that they are going to misunderstand what's going on, and they are going to believe actually this is the work of a demon, which is not. Actually, the Bible says in the book of Revelation that there will be a lot of tribes, people from all tribes with all kinds of languages, who speaks all kinds of languages. They're going to come together. That's what the Bible says. So if you're trying to divide, there is no way. You're fighting God. If you're trying to divide, you're fighting God. But if you put it together, if you join forces, If you do what me and this beautiful couple are doing tonight, that's the way things are going to get better for everybody, for everybody. So this is the real deal. We need to understand that division needs to work for union, not become a separated limb like the body. You know, what happens if you cut your arm off? You're going to feel something is wrong, you know, and that's what it is. It doesn't matter if the world is round or flat. The world is chopped up. You know what I'm saying? The world is totally chopped up into pieces. We need to bring these pieces together, and the only way for this to happen is we fight together and we join forces and we set aside these religious beliefs that has separated people all over this world, all over these years, all over the centuries. It's enough, right? I think it's enough. I think we have already reached the point that we are not kids anymore, and we need to help our kids because they are going to be the future. So we need to do something about this. We need to change. We need to do real politics, not this politics that we see. We need to do the real politics. I'm sorry, I talked too much.
No, that was absolutely spot on, and I just got to say we're going to get along really well because I mean you just literally echoed so much of what we believe and think,
and what we talk about to each other and don't share out there yet a whole lot, and but especially in terms of like the religions and the differences and all the different worldviews and world religions. That's something that gets brought up a lot with the flat earth conversation. So it's like, you know, it's kind of a chance to get it right this time, or to be, you know, let's not fall into the same old habits with the science, you know, we were talking about with the models. And so same thing with religion. We can't just get into the
round
same.
and round.
Yep.
Round and round. Actually, the world is not turning, but we are turning around. Like you know, we are like the people in the desert, just going around. Remember the story of the Hebrew people? They are going around the same spot. You know.
Yep.
So the earth is very, very static. It's very, very still. But we are going around it like crazy people. We are not moving forward. You know.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is just great stuff. And so the last thing with the whole presentation that I just wanted to bring up just to think about, you know, a lot of times, because again, God's creation is difficult to define and may not be definable by us, but Globers a lot of times will kind of laugh at the idea of a sort of Pac-Man effect. And we just want to point out that they're someone they look up to a lot of times. Albert Einstein himself kind of thought of this Pac-Man-like effect himself.
Show it and make it slowly, because I want people to dig it in. I want people to digest it. All right. Show the book. Show the guy who wrote it, please.
Yep. So this is I don't know if you can see that. It's Albert Einstein Special in General Relativity, and if you can see who wrote it. Right.
Well, he put it together because it's all of Einstein's theories about.
They always say we don't have any evidence. They always say you don't have any evidence. You don't have any evidence, and that's an evidence. That's a book written by Albert Einstein. Okay.
Yes, and it is an idea. You know, it is something that is a possibility. But basically, in this book, Einstein is describing. It's a model that's known as the Einstein universe, and this was all in the 1800s, like late 1800s, right around special and general relativity that came out in 1905, I believe. And so it was right before all of that, he had created this model, and he explained this model of the universe as, let's see, he says, the universe is unbounded but not infinite. It is a static universe with no beginning and no end. The universe is a hypersphere, which is difficult for us to imagine. In it, imaginary space travelers who set off from Earth and travel away in a perfectly straight line will eventually find themselves arriving back at Earth, but arriving from the opposite side. So he essentially described what a lot of times people will call the Pac-Man effect. way back then. And if
you go over here, you don't make a circle, but you just go off screen and then come back on screen on the other side.
Right. And if you apply that model, basically, if you apply that to the Earth, then, and you just replace universe with Earth, then it kind of creates a picture. It would just say that the Earth is unbounded, but not infinite. It is a static Earth with no beginning and no end, sort of like God, and so the universe is the Earth is a hypersphere, which is difficult for us to imagine. In it, travelers who set off from a set location and traveled away in a perfectly straight line will eventually find themselves arriving back at the same location, but arriving from the opposite side. So that is the Pac-Man effect. And
what's crazy is that theory is called the Einsteinian universe. Like it's Einstein's universe, what he thought what was going on, this static hypersphere, that it's both finite but infinite within it somehow. That's paradoxical. And so that's what their guy, this is the Glober's guy.
No beginning, no end. That's our God. No beginning. Yep. We actually are, I mean, I know it's going to sound a little bit crazy, but the way I feel is like we are the cells in the body of God. That's how I feel. It's like the Earth is like a big, it's like a real body that we don't know, because we are not able to go that far to see, because we know that what they show us is not what it is. And if there is somebody on this world that really know what it is, they are hiding. Because if they tell what it is, people are going to go out of their minds. And they might be thinking that it's going to be a revolution or something like that, But it would be it would rather happen one day, because there is nothing that is hidden that is going to continue hidden. The Bible also says that everything that is hidden is going to come to light. It doesn't matter. It's not me. It's not you. It's not anybody, any channel, any big boss, any politician, nobody. The truth speaks for itself, and God is the truth. He doesn't need nobody to tell the truth, because he is what it is. He has no beginning, no end, and the Bible is perfect. It's just perfect. The problem with the Bible is not the Bible. It's the people who interprets the Bible, because everybody thinks that they know, when actually nobody knows the thing, because we need each other. I don't know everything. I need you. We need each other, and that's the point. That's the point. I can never contain in my head all the knowledge. Otherwise, I explode. I become like an atom bomb, I will explode and everybody dies in the end. It's not happy ending, So somebody needs to understand. That's what I was saying before. Ego has to be out of the scene. Ego is out. Everything is going to get back to normal. Maybe to the way things were way behind, when Adam and Eve were having a very cool moment in the middle of the garden, no snake to bother us, So I think we have something in our hands. Let's hope for the best, but let's keep, like they say, low profiles, because there is nothing we can do. We are going to die one day, and the truth is going to come. I don't know, our generation, future generations, I don't even care. I'm at peace. I die today, I am promoted. I become, it's like getting a promotion, because the world is just an illusion. What we really is inside of us. Once you break this box that we live in, you're going to see things the way they really are. So, man, fantastic. Fantastic.
That is absolutely beautiful again, and well put. And with the whole ego thing, a lot of people who claim to know exactly what the Earth is and all that, it reminds me of the verse, those, something along the lines of, those who proclaim themselves to be wise become fools, or something along those lines. That just reminds me of that, because you'll have scientists that say, "Oh, we know exactly what the Earth is, and we know all
We've already
this.
figured it out.
We already figured it out." And in my opinion,
figured it out with 2 sticks and a shadow.
Yeah,
in
Eratosthenes.
the Greek, ancient Greece.
Right, and like you were saying, I don't think it's possible for one man to have all of God's knowledge. It's a group effort, a combined effort, and I think it's going to be a great journey with you and others to find out the truth and to let God reveal the truth to us.
And we talked about a little bit earlier too that, you know, we're okay with that. We're okay with not knowing exactly, or if what we do find out to be the truth, or what the only truth that we can really claim to know is that it's undefinable and that we can't find out. Like, humans are not supposed to, can't even fathom what it truly is, because we just can't. Like, that's okay. That's okay with me.
You just hit the nail, because I've been telling people in my channel, there is no theology, because God cannot be studied, you know. The theology was created by men, you know, but God cannot be comprehended, cannot be extensively comprehended. You cannot do that. Man, if God decided to divide his glory with one person, okay, we would have to throw our Bibles away. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense, all right? So if one man is able to say, I know everything, he turns himself into God right away. And that's not what God wants. And so, from my very humble opinion, I believe that what God is trying to do all these centuries, you know, is to make us understand what love is all about. If we understand what love is all about, we are going to love each other just the same way we love ourselves. And there is no bad in that. There is no evil in that. I will never want you to go and just, you know, be have a mediocre life if I want for you what I want for me, because I will never want to have a mediocre life as well, you know. So if I want to be successful, I want you to be successful. And I'm going to go a little higher. When you are able to see your brothers above you, that's heaven. That's heaven. Because that's what Jesus said. Jesus said, if you want to be the first one, be the one who serves all of the other ones. So how come that's possible in the world we live in? How come that's possible in the world we live in right now? Everybody wants to be served. Everybody wants to be served. Nobody wants to serve nobody. So that's why I do things for free. People say, you're crazy. No, I know, but I don't care. I donate my stuff. I don't care. Oh, I have this I'm not using. And some of the things I sell cheap, some of the things just to change into another thing. And some of them I say, just take it. What do you want? You want that? Take it. Take it. Oh, you want that? Take it. Because it's not important. It's just not important. You know, money is nothing when you are the son of the Father who owns the whole world. Money is nothing. Money may work here when you are in flesh, but once you are on the other side, man, money is nothing. Nothing is, you know, nothing. It's just a piece of paper. It's something created. It's another illusion, you know. So, well, I never imagined we were gonna have this big, you know, live stream. Like, I mean, man, I'm astonished. I don't even know what to say. You guys are just wonderful. You are. I mean, you are my first biggest discovery at the beginning of 2022.
Well, this is big for us too.
It goes both ways. I mean, seriously, everything you've been saying is so enlightening, and it is. You don't hear that a lot. You hear a lot of negativity when it comes to the Bible, and you hear a lot of this like doom and gloom, kind of like everything's so bad. And I've always thought that, you know, we should not be living in fear. We should be looking forward to the truth that's going to be revealed, and it's, you know, the future is bright. It's not a dark thing that a lot of people say it is.
And we talk about too just how, like, you know, the having faith, or like even the Bible itself, the message of the Bible, like it's timeless. Like it's for everybody at every time. And maybe it's for your individual life, you know, it's your life manual. It's not to predict world events or, you know, put any limitations on your time and place, or else it wouldn't work for everybody. It's supposed to be, it's an individual thing. So yeah, I think that gets lost a lot, especially in, you know, current conversations like we were just talking about, that, you know, people try to use it for, yeah.
You said it all. Jesus never started a religion. Never. You will never find in the Bible Jesus is starting a movement. Never. Jesus never wrote a word in the Bible. Everything that we have was written about him. He never wrote anything. The only thing that the Bible says he wrote was on the ground, and nobody knows what it is. You know, nobody knows what it is. So Jesus never wrote anything. People wrote about him, and the story, you know, is for us individually. The problem is that people get the Bible to study God. No, the Bible is a book to study ourselves, you know, and not others. I don't use the book like, you know, like people go to church sometimes, they say, oh, that person should be here today because the service is totally for that person. You know, no, it's for you. If you are listening to that, that's for you. And that's the problem. That's the problem. The Bible is the manual of the world. There is a manual, but it's for us to know how it works. It's not to decipher God. God is, can we say undecipherable? I don't know if that word exists, but I mean, you cannot decipher God. It's completely crazy. One person believe that they have the authority or the power to say, I know God. You know, I mean, this is embarrassing. I mean, now I know how much ego needs to go down the toilet. You know, it needs to go like when you say needs to go down the drain, or to be like when you say when you flush the toilet, you know, like it needs to be flushed down the toilet. That's where ego belongs, down the toilet. That's what ego belongs. Otherwise, we are going to continue just going around like merry-go-round. But we're not merry. Actually, it would be saddy-go-round, saddy-go-round, because it's never happy, you know. But my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. Nice. This is amazing.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation.
That's it. Maybe one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life. Probably. I really appreciate you.
I totally say the very same thing. I shared the same thought. My God, beautiful. I never imagined we were going to have such a good time like this, and so enlightening. So, my gosh, great. Guys, I know it's here is it's already January 4th. What time is it there for you guys?
You guys are troopers.
It's 9:30. So what are you, about 3 hours ahead of us?
Yeah.
Is it 12:30 there? Yeah.
It's 12:27 right now. Okay, well, but we had a great show. We had a great live stream show. My gosh, beautiful. I'm gonna say that I hope it's just the beginning of something new and beautiful. I just want to express my happiness that you guys accepted the invitation so quickly, you know, because sometimes it's hard, and I know because life is kind of not easy, you know. We have all stuff we have to do, and I completely understand that. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. It was heaven on earth. It was heaven on earth. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to say goodbye, whatever you guys want to say, and then I'm going to call this a day because I am happy. I think I'm going to not even go to sleep. I don't know. I'm going to be thinking about this moment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do this again.
Yeah, let's absolutely do this again anytime you want, because I just so encouraging to hear like-minded people and such a positive outlook. That is, it's beautiful.
And
go ahead.
Well, just because that's what we were, you know, we've been kind of anonymous on our channel for the last few years, and just kind of decided we would start just being more, come out from behind the scenes and open up, and even open up more about stuff like this, some of our, you know, beliefs and philosophies and ideas. So this is has been really great for us too.
Yeah, thanks for giving us a platform to you know, talk with you and just to spread the message of what we consider to be truth and
get it started.
Yeah.
Wow, pleasure is all mine. all mine. You have no idea. I feel like seriously, there wouldn't be a ticket for any show you can say to me that would be better than this. I mean, I'm right in front of my celebrities. You guys are my celebrities.
No.
Yes. I'm
now.
saying that in a good way. In a good way. For me, you guys are just perfect. Beautiful couple.
Sure.
We just had somebody asking if you guys were married here. Like,
Yes.
what a beautiful couple. Are they married? Yes, they are. Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Flip has a channel. This guy is a very good friend of mine. He's got a channel on YouTube as well. It's growing really, really fast too. He knows a lot about wave, about water, propagation. Man, this is the guy for you to talk to. I'm going to put you guys in touch in the very near future, okay? So you guys are going to be talking because he's going to help you with your experiments as well. Man, I'm telling you, we're joining forces. Globers, watch out. We're coming, okay?
I love it. I love it. Eduardo, thank you so much for having us on.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it.
Great.
So much. I'll see you some other day. We're going to keep in touch off line, of course. But feel free to go. I'm going to still have 5 minutes because I'm going to talk a little Portuguese now. And maybe in the future, you guys are going to be doing the Portuguese talk here, huh?
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to try, you know, and thank everyone in your chat. We appreciate them too.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. My gosh. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Here we go. My gosh. Galera, o negócio hoje aqui foi muito, muito, muito abençoado, hein? Caramba, não esperava uma live. Olha, eu tô aqui, tô sem palavras. Que coisa linda. Realmente não existem barreiras, as barreiras são colocadas por nós mesmos. Nós mesmos é que criamos barreiras. Que isso, meu irmão? Que isso, meu irmão? Olha, esse é o casal que fez o experimento do barco lá do Battleship, RC Battleship, Remote Controlled Battleship. Aquele que eu apresentei no canal, que virou aí uma febre aí nos canais, e fiquei sabendo que estava tendo também uma leve discussão a respeito no canal do Bruno Alves. Fico feliz que a gente está conseguindo trazer algumas coisas diferentes. Cara, eu vou colocar você em contato com esse casal, Fake Flip. Eles é o casal que fez o experimento lá. Eles estavam faz tempo fazendo isso. a Silmara, agora traduz para nós os leigos da língua portuguesa. Então, fica tranquila que eu vou procurar fazer a legenda desse vídeo toda. Eu estou com um equipamento novo. Eu adquiri um aplicativo que eu acho que eu consigo fazer a legenda no português muito mais rápido. Não vai ficar perfeita, vai ter umas coisas erradas, porque eu não vou conseguir passar por tudo e fazer um pente fino. Eu vou jogar do jeito que está e depois eu posso ir consertando, eu posso ir fazendo o ajuste. Mas vale a pena assistir essa live com a legenda depois. Com certeza essa live vai rodar o mundo em canais gringos, porque foi um negócio muito, muito legal. Reproduziu exatamente o que o Mula te apresentou na live com o Felipe. Exatamente. Só que aí que tá. A questão sobre a refração é incrível. E o bom é que o Escuro também vai estar nessa parada, porque ele manja muito. Ele tá para vir aqui no canal. E Fake Flip, eu gostaria muito, se fosse possível, que você, o Roberto Escuro, o Bruno Alves, provavelmente, e mais algumas pessoas que você pode aí me ajudar, que está mais ligado nessa questão das águas, desses estudos. A gente podia marcar uma live aqui entre a gente, bater um papo aqui, conversar e falar sobre essas coisas que eu estou trazendo também de fora, para que fossem analisadas por vocês, que eu considero experts no assunto. Eu não sou tão entendido assim como vocês são nessa área. E essa live foi exatamente falando sobre isso. Quando nós entendermos que todo mundo tem algo de bom, todo mundo tem algo de importante para oferecer, e a gente começar a valorizar o que as pessoas têm de bom e desprezar o que tem de ruim, deixa lá, tá falando, dane. entendeu? E começar a valorizar o que tem de bom, a gente provavelmente vai parar de andar em círculos. E vamos começar a ir para algum lugar diferente. E o que está para vir, virá. Porque é o que precisa para mudar a história desse mundo e fazer com que as coisas de fato se encaixem no seu lugar, no seu devido lugar. Incrível! Eu acredito que a primeira live do ano já começou assim. Olha, sem palavras. Terei várias outras lives em inglês aqui no canal. Eu vou aproveitar para fazer a divulgação de algo que é inédito, ninguém está sabendo ainda. Dia 17 de fevereiro de 2022, eu, professor Eduardo Gimenez, junto com o canal Cosmologia Bíblica de Edinardo e também o canal Metafisicamente de Samuel Benini, estaremos juntos com Zen Garcia, que é uma figura que também fala sobre vários temas controversos e debatidos no mundo, assim como o canal do Benini e outros canais que apresentam certos estudos sobre coisas que ficaram mesmo muito debatidas. Nós estaremos ali juntos com o Zen Garcia, será uma live totalmente em inglês, e a esposa do Zen Garcia, que é a pessoa que está em contato comigo, disse que nós teremos total liberdade de estar conversando, de estar falando sobre tudo o que nós quisermos falar e perguntar. Vai acontecer no dia 17 de fevereiro. Vai estar sendo transmitido ao vivo nos 3 canais aqui no Brasil, mas, porém, vai estar em inglês. Depois vai ser feito também a legenda, tá? O canal do Fake Flip é Fake Flip mesmo, tá, Samuel? É o próprio nome dele. O matemático entrou para provar que reta é curva, caiu do cavalo. Então, a gente precisa se unir mais, precisamos juntar mais forças, precisamos exaltar o que as pessoas têm de melhor, entendeu? Que é o que vai fazer a diferença. Então, obrigado aí a vocês que assistiram a live, obrigado, mesmo que vocês não estivessem entendendo 100%, obrigado por terem assistido. E mais, lembrei de outra coisa, dia 28 de janeiro, eu já estou com a passagem comprada, eu vou visitar meu querido irmão Juca Araújo, do canal Ciência Natural, e juntos nós iremos embarcar na primeira expedição a Quixadá, feita por nós, terraplanistas, onde nós vamos ali fotografar, filmar, fazer estudos e trazer para vocês o melhor que tem daquilo que podemos oferecer. Dia 28 de janeiro, no final desse mês aqui, eu vou estar me encontrando com o Juca Araújo. Akira do Nada estará conosco também, do canal Akira do Nada, e o outro irmão nosso, que é amigo, é um ex-aluno do Juca, que vai estar lá em Fortaleza também nos esperando, e provavelmente faremos essa viagem de moto ainda, que vai ser mais legal ainda. Então, eu estou levando minhas câmeras, vou levar meus equipamentos, e a gente vai fazer o documentário sobre gigantes de silício, que vai ao ar no canal do Juca Araújo. Eu faço questão que seja passado no canal do Juca Araújo, porque ele é um gigante dos gigantes, que tem trazido esse assunto há tanto tempo. Eu nem faço questão de que esse documentário passe no meu canal, eu espero que passe no dele, quer dizer, vai passar no dele em primeiro lugar, o canal dele vai inaugurar esse documentário, e depois que inaugurar lá, aí eu trago para cá, e as pessoas vão poder levar para onde elas quiserem também. Estaremos juntos, fazendo algo em prol daquilo que nós acreditamos. Querem nos combater, querem nos diminuir, querem nos ridicularizar? Não tem problema. A gente vai com o nosso dinheiro mesmo. A gente não está preocupado com o valor, não. A gente trabalha, a gente faz as coisas direitinho, porque a gente sabe que tem muita coisa ainda a ser desvendada nesse mundo. Estamos só começando pelaquilo que está para acontecer. Então, vamos que vamos, vamos junto nessa viagem. Eu vou estar documentando tudo, eles também, depois nós vamos juntar, e na viagem nós vamos fazendo algumas lives, com certeza. Vai ser incrível. Estou aqui já imaginando como vai ser chegar em Fortaleza e encontrar o meu irmão Juca Araújo, meu querido irmão e amigo Juca Araújo, que foi a primeira pessoa que me deu uma voz no YouTube, no canal dele, para falar de um experimento que eu estava fazendo com alguns americanos e canadenses. Então, muito obrigado, que Deus abençoe todos vocês, eu os vejo numa próxima transmissão aqui no canal, A chave da ciência. Deus abençoe muito todos vocês. E nessa aí eu deixo para vocês o versículo que eu amo tanto. Versículo que eu amo tanto. Fui.
Ai de vós, doutores da lei, que tirastes a chave da ciência. Vós mesmos não entrastes e impedistes os que entravam.
Não deixe de se inscrever no canal e compartilhe o nosso conteúdo se você gostar.